Hello players, this is Tolinar and we're here for video 2 of the series. I went ahead and turned the music down just a little bit. I had no idea it was up so loud. Just a moment if you please. Now, last time I didn't do a very good job of explaining the node map. You move between the node map just like so. R1 moves you to the next node. You want to try to pass over as much territory as possible in most cases. So it's a good idea to try and trace a path, sort of snake-like. In this case, I'll go right, then up, then left, then up. And then I'll head left to hit that question mark on the path that I didn't take. I'll use the candle to backtrack. When I reach the next part, though, I'm going to be at a bit of a quagmire. Because those last two nodes I'll have to choose between. The good news is I'll be able to see what they are before I reach them. And who knows, maybe I'll find some supplies to make this easier. Last battle I explained the hot potato spell. I'll try to explain some of the other spells in more detail, because magic is very important in this game, and it's important to get a good handle on it before the battles get crazy. Let's get going. Always start your battles by pausing. Get a better look. Something is just about to pop up out of the snow like a daisy. I have to send somebody out to get this battle started. Now, every time you use magic, you probably will either pause the game yourself or not pause the game yourself, but the game will unpause. So make certain when you use magic that you pause the game afterwards, every time. In this case, we'll go ahead and throw the Curse of Frost on this guy. The game will unpause. I'll pause the game again. And then go ahead and attack with the monk. When the target is attacked, it is frozen for 7 seconds. This duration can be increased in many ways. A frozen target, however, will take extra damage from various effects. Let's see what kinds of effects work. Now the enemy is frozen. The ice meter has appeared. You can watch it run down in real time. We're going to cast a spell this time. Again, it'll be Hot Potato. We're going to throw it at this character. Or we could potentially switch the character out. The advantage of hitting a frozen enemy with a fire spell is getting double damage. But Hot Potato doesn't deal damage. So, what we'll do is instead switch the fighter to the bottom lane. A frozen enemy loses all its defense and will be knocked back. So we can go ahead and perform an attack here, and moments later, the game will pause itself. Because I'm attacking, the game will pause. If you try to pause the game every time after an attack like you would for a spell, you will unpause the game instead. Watch that. Now the enemy is airborne. It is impossible to hit an airborne enemy with any sort of physical attack from the characters, but that doesn't mean you're unable to attack them altogether. It is possible to attack an airborne enemy with a spell. I can't use Hot Potato. This is because the fighter has not returned to at rest yet. He will in a moment though. Be aware that when you stun an enemy and knock it airborne, it loses 1 stamina. But that spearman started with 3 stamina and still has 3 stamina because it was not stunned. I'll demonstrate what happens here when you do this. The fighter will make an attack here. Now, because the enemy that was frozen was helpless, it was knocked a long ways. However, the enemy that the rogue just hit was not helpless, and as a direct result, it will not fly very far. We'll go ahead and cast Hot Potato on the airborne enemy. Airborne enemies can be targeted with spells, isn't that nice? Now, the moment the dust cloud appears from a character touching down, they can be attacked. Our next option is to cast Double Strike on the fighter. We'll go ahead and do that. Pause the game. It's just good practice to pause the game after casting any spells. All of our spells are on cooldown though, and none of my characters are able to attack. We'll unpause until the moment one of the green swords is full. And that's going to be the fighter. Note which health bar is in front. It would be really nice to go ahead and hit that spearman. The spearman, however, is on fire. And on top of that, just to complicate things, That stunned enemy isn't in the front anymore. What do we do in this situation? The best thing to do is to wait longer. Let's take a moment. If I were to combo through here, I would be able to hit with both characters and then have the rogue focus its damage on the pikeman in the front. The pikeman, however, has 200 health. That wouldn't kill it. The enemy behind it is the dangerous one. A better plan is to knock this enemy away, then perform a lane switch. Note how far out the monk is. He's not far enough out to hit any enemies. We'll have him strike this guy. With double strike, even though I could have stunned, I didn't stun. This is a serious misuse of double strike. My own mistake. Mistakes happen all the time. Realizing why and how is the key to being a good player. So I wasted my double strike, which is definitely not ideal. Mostly because I forgot about it. That said, at least all the lines are fairly efficiently positioned. If I perform a lane switch here, I should be able to have the fighter tick this guy and keep him stunned. Just a moment longer. Yes, I think I've got him. We're going to try for it. Nope, I wasn't able to re-stun the one in the back. It was worth a shot, but it didn't happen. Note the enemy approaching on the top lane. I'm going to go ahead and have this monk attack simply to loosen the lanes. When you don't know who to send to an attack, and you want to use the fighter to hit somebody that's stunned, your best option is usually to send the monk to switch the lanes around. Now I can inflict some serious damage on this guy, and then switch the rogue in to stun the next enemy. Note those distant enemies, though. The fact that there's somebody back there is going to be useful all too soon. We'll inflict a stun here. And here. Send him. And then perform a lane switch between these two. Note which spells are currently charged. If he was retracted, I could actually use the withdrawal of a character to trigger the Curse of Frost. Let's try it. We'll go ahead and cast Curse of Frost on this guy, however unnecessary that might be. Fortunately, we've got lots of extra power here, so we don't have to be all too conservative with it. We'll switch the fighter in behind the second lane. When the fighter retracts, then it should not only extend the stun, but inflict the Curse of Frost. This enemy is not going anywhere for a good long while. This isn't the most efficient use, but it does open up that blank enemy. So we'll go ahead and do this, and then perform a triple switch to move the monk up to the top, just like so. Back attack. Note that it takes 4 switches to do it this way. The other way is really much more efficient. Another back attack. The enemy lands. Hit it. Now again, I can just switch like this. But let's say I want to put the other guy on the top lane. Then it's necessary to do like so. Some of my spells are coming off cooldown. I don't really want to waste my double damage in this situation, though. This enemy only has 36 HP left. There's no reason to even bother with it. This is an ideal situation to apply this buff. I'll go ahead and switch the monk to the top lane, and this guy here to pick up another kill. Continue to knock you around. We're starting to run out of enemies. This happens really often when you're doing well in a stage. Our spells are all off cooldown. That thing on the bottom lane is very dangerous. You'll find out why all too soon, but I've seen it in action in other playthroughs. We're going to go ahead and stun this guy. There, it's casting. Never let it finish. Any hit should interrupt its casting. Just don't let it finish casting anything ever. I'll go ahead and unpause. I want to leave the warrior on this lane. I'm going to use Hot Potato to open this guy up. Now I'll use Curse of Frost. And when my character attacks, it'll be frozen and on fire at the same moment, which leads to double damage. Just what I was looking for. Unfortunately, it didn't kill the enemy, which is a hassle, but one I'm going to live with. I'll go ahead and switch these two characters around like so. Inflict a back attack here. Note that the fighter is now on fire. Not an ideal situation, but one that can be exploited to generate more damage if you cause the fighter to drag through even more enemies. I could extend the stun. This would mean setting my rogue on fire. The rogue is generally less durable than other characters, so we're not going to do that. On the other hand, this guy has 9 HP left and is frozen solid, which means he's defenseless. Unfortunately, 9 HP really isn't enough. If he gets lucky, he might, but he probably won't. Well, let's see if he can do it. Oh my gosh, he actually killed one. We're so happy for you. My spells are currently recharging. We're getting towards the end of the run. At this point, we need to start considering bringing my spells off cooldown by stalling the fight. Usually, at the very end of a fight, enemies will turn and run away, which means in the last, I say 30 seconds, you want to let them approach, maybe 15 depending how fast they are. It takes about 40 seconds for a plant enemy to approach you all the way. Go ahead and do this, switch you up here, knock you away. Okay. Bump you. Kill that. Now for the last few seconds, all of my spells are off cooldown. We want to let the enemy come as close as we can before attacking it as hard as possible. A little closer. Come here, baby. When an enemy is just about to attack you, its animation will change. Watch this happen as the skeleton reaches me. Now is my last chance to attack it. Because I waited so long, the enemy has much further to retreat, and I'll be able to recharge and kill it before it can escape. Letting the enemy draw in these last few seconds is something that only a really skilled player should do, but it can be valuable. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.